Welcome in, along with Zach Robinson. I'm Steve Palazzolo. Today discussing Kyler Murray and his NFL prospects. Whether he's going to pursue the NFL or not, we don't know, but I think it's worth at least having a discussion because I've been trying to avoid this whole subject, right? I'm just, because he's, what, 5'10", maybe more like 5'9". He's grading extremely well in our system. We know that our system and our numbers and the way we pull out numbers, they translate to the NFL. So he's providing some issues with us if we had to really project him to the NFL. What are your initial thoughts on Murray and what he could do?
It's interesting because you go into the season, you figured he would have a good season, but you never thought that the conversation would ultimately lead to where we're at right now, whether he's deciding between football and baseball. We thought,
yeah, right,
he's a one and done. He's going to go play baseball. He's got the best, situation in the world. And now we're sitting here and you keep thinking, you keep watching, and you're saying, why can't this guy do it? With the size, everything, he's got so many throws. He's so instinctive and so quick in and out of the pocket that you're sitting there and you really, he's been productive at every level he's played at, and you'd rather, him prove you wrong and say that he's got a chance rather than say doubt that he can do it and him go out and do it. So it's an interesting spot to be in.
Yeah, and with what happened with Baker Mayfield last year, he did not have a better passing grade than Baker Mayfield when we made it through the championship games, but it's pretty close. And Kyler Murray finished the season as our top-graded passing quarterback and our top-graded rushing quarterback. So it wasn't all that close.
Yeah.
And the thing we said about Baker Mayfield and his projection last year was like, yeah, the system does help quite a bit, but with NFL-type things, whether it's tight window throws, whether it's just passes beyond the sticks, when we isolated those throws, Baker was great. So the system helped, but he was great at the important stuff. Did Kyler Murray excel in those same areas in the system?
Very similar. I mean, you look at those guys side by side, and when you were watching them play, the offense looked the same. They've got some good playmakers. We know that Lincoln Riley schemes it up, but they are still making all the throws that they have. They have the touch throws. They have the downfield throws. They can zip it over the intermediate level in the middle of the field. So you just keep coming back to, why can't this guy do it? The more and more you watch, this Bama game is going to be awesome to watch.
Right, that's going to be a huge test, right?
It's hard to say that it's going to come down to one game and an evaluation. You never want to say that, but I think that is going to be the ultimate test to see what he does.
What about the whole height thing? Because last year at this time, Baker Mayfield was being called too short. He's listed at 6'1", 6 foot, whatever it is. And we kept saying, okay, when you're at that height, like, who cares? Unless it's truly a detriment to what you're doing in the pocket, seeing over linemen. If you're special in all the other areas that we feel like Baker Mayfield is special, it doesn't really matter. But now you're talking about 2 or 3 extra inches with Kyler Murray. So at what point does the height actually matter when you're looking over these linemen, when you're trying to see the field, and does it actually have a factor?
You would think that where he's at would be the Mendoza line. I mean, anything under 6 feet. Russell Wilson's 5'11", the 5'10", 5'9", we've just never really seen. Doug Flutie, I guess, is really the only guy that's been that, and I think that is kind of a good comp for him. But the bottom line is this guy can create space for himself. So he's not going to be a statue. He doesn't have to just sit back there and try to see over the line. He's so instinctive at feeling the little space that he needs to create for himself. And we've seen offenses are getting a ton more creative. They're willing to do more things. Offensive coordinators are. So you keep looking at it and just say, if we can build an offense around this guy, it's there, and he'll just make plays when it's not there, and he's great outside structure.
So is this the time? Is this the time to enter the NFL when teams are trying to be a little bit more creative? And look, when you're comparing him to the rest of this quarterback class, we've talked about Justin Herbert as a first-rounder, Dwayne Haskins as a first-rounder, maybe Will Grier, but it's not like this cut and dry, there's 3 or 4 outstanding first-round quarterbacks. Kyler Murray, if he was eligible or made himself eligible, could be a potential first-round pick despite his height, and I think that speaks to the quarterback class and the new age of the NFL. Is this the perfect time to enter?
Perfect time. He's in a great spot because you got to strike when the iron's hot. Everybody's all about these innovative passing games. Baker Mayfield's showing out, and teams are more willing than ever to take a chance on a guy like this. So when you add in who's in this draft and what he stacks up against, you can definitely see teams fall in love with this guy and just how he can play the game. And as we mentioned, he's been productive high school, college, all the way around, like a Deshaun Watson, where you'd rather not doubt that he can get it done when it's all said and done.
I would still play baseball, though. I mean, top 10 pick, a lot of money on the table.
Come back to baseball. I think he can come back to baseball. You got to strike when football's there. If you ever want to go through and say, I wish, what if I would have done this, hey man, he's got a chance to do it and see what he's got.
Maybe a way to do both. Here's my one last question. When we've talked about Mayfield and we've talked about Patrick Mahomes coming out of the Big 12, the one thing, we didn't necessarily use it against him, but we said this is tough to project, was how many three-man rushes they faced and how many just massive clean pockets they faced. Murray had over 30% of his dropbacks against three-man rushes. That was the highest percentage in the NFL. Now, obviously, Mayfield and Mahomes, they're doing perfectly fine in the NFL, but when you have a guy with the height issue again, is that skewing the evaluation at all?
I think it is some, and I think that the three-man rush can work for and against you. It teaches you to kind of stay patient and poised and ultimately help your playmaking ability because you're forced to find windows and create on your own. But then it's always going to be a catch-22 because if a team comes up and they say, hey, we want to rush 5, we want to play man coverage, and then he burns you with his legs around the edge, then you're back to square one and saying, how do we want to defend this guy? So there's a lot of things that his overall skill set would scare a defensive coordinator just with his overall athleticism ability to get out of the pocket.
So I know it's tough in isolation to put a round projection on him, but where would you take a guy like Kyler Murray if he's in the draft this year?
I mean, if I know I've got the commitment from him and I'm at the back half of the first round, I would take a shot. I would take a shot with him in the first round. I think it's, second round, clearly before the third round, I would think. But shoot, if your team's sitting there and you're desperate and you need a playmaker, why not?
I know this. I would rather take him over some of the less athletic, more inaccurate quarterbacks who haven't had nearly the production that Murray has had. The guys that kind of get that late first, second round type of hype.
Drew Lock, Daniel Jones.
I would take him over all those guys. Ryan Finley. I mean, he's got better tools to project at the NFL level other than the height. So there you go. Kyler Murray, Zach's got him maybe fringe first, potential second round pick if he was out there and available.